Thank you. Senator Young.
Welcome all. Dr. Jacobs, my colleagues have talked about the benefits emerging technologies can provide. For instance, how quantum computing can better track and predict the movements of severe weather patterns, how AI may predict when another event may occur, and other applications. I'm working on reintroduction of several bills with my colleagues, and the impetus is advancing our technological leadership and capabilities in emerging technologies. Outside of what's been discussed here already, what other benefits do these emerging technologies promise to deliver? And how do you plan to work across the department and other executive agencies as applicable to make sure these deliverables are recognized?
Thank you for the question, Senator. So one of the things that we haven't talked about today that I think is really fascinating and I would love to be a focus is edge computing. And I say that because as the satellites on orbit become more sophisticated and the sensors have higher resolution data, the files become larger. And downlinking those files takes time. Moving that data takes time. And weather is a very time-sensitive capability to do these forecasts. So we have to get the data as fast as we can. And to the extent that it's possible to do edge computing on orbit to process that data before it's downlinked, I think would be a huge step forward.
What do you anticipate needs to be done in this area? Do we need to assemble kind of a strategy to, or a broader effort? I'll let you explain or unpack for us what needs to be done.
I think some of this can be tested on the ground. I also think that there's a lot of capabilities that have been developed on the classified intel side where the data itself might be classified, but the process of compressing or sending the data might not be. So to repurpose those on the civil side would be an interesting thing I would like to work on.
Would you work with me on that priority?
Absolutely.
Should you be confirmed? Okay, great. I'm a member of the Intelligence Committee as well as the Commerce Committee, so there may be some synergies there. Thank you. Continuing with you, Doctor, I'd like to turn to IUU fishing. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, or IUU fishing, isn't just an environmental issue, though it is, of course, that. It also undermines our economic security and our national security. It affects American fishermen, especially in the Gulf of America, who are often competing with illegally operating Mexican fishing vessels. In addition, we have to contend with a broader pattern of illegal maritime activities by state and non-state actors from the People's Republic of China and Russia. They continue to engage in unregulated fishing that will impact our allies and the rest of us in a negative way. And so it's our responsibility to protect American fishermen from these violations, to hold other nations accountable to the same standards of maritime law and sustainability that we uphold. How do you plan, Doctor, on coordinating with offices and other departments or agencies like the State Department or Coast Guard to effectively counter this issue at home and abroad?
Thank you for the question. So countering this is a huge priority. Obviously, seafood competitiveness and reducing the seafood trade deficit is a big priority. So combating IUU is essential to accomplishing that. Would love to work, if confirmed, with the Coast Guard, with the Navy, particularly in the Pacific, where there's a lot of false flag vessels doing illegal fishing, in our EEZ, and other countries' EEZs where they're not flagged to be fishing. Tracking these ships when they turn off their transponders, traveling around. A lot of times there's other sort of nefarious things like human trafficking that's going along with this IUU. As well as we were mentioning earlier, the poaching of red snapper in the Gulf of America. That's a huge issue, and working with the State Department on that, and also potentially exploring other technologies not just for the fishing aspect, but for the imports, because there's a lot of things that are being imported that we really need to take a close look at, mislabeling, things like that as far as imported seafood.
Yeah, I think you hit on an important but often under-discussed component of this, which is the businesses themselves that will supply us seafood. They need to bring more transparency to their supply chains and ensure that they're not procuring seafood that has been obtained illegally. But I hope to work with you on this as well. Do you commit to doing so, should you be confirmed?
If confirmed, absolutely.
Okay. And then lastly, how do you see regional fisheries management organizations, or RFMOs, fitting into this equation? Is there an opportunity to reform or push these organizations to more effectively combat IUU fishing throughout the world when origin countries refuse to prosecute illegal fishermen, even with overwhelming evidence of their activities?
Definitely, RFMOs, working through the RFMOs to ensure that other countries enforce their laws is really important, and also working through the RFMOs to ensure that we have a fair quota set for U.S. fishermen, very important.
Thank you, Dr. Jacobs. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Senator Hickenlooper.
Thank you, Mr.